Oh, hi. As you can see, I'm here doing some household chores. And well, as we all know, that means I'm a raging homosexual. I even feed the kids their dinner. How gay am I?
Babes, what are you doing?
You caught me being gay again. As you can see, this is just me vacuuming here. And yeah, I get gayer with every suck. So Big Papa Fascist's TradCon wife recently made an appearance on the Whatever podcast. And this is the video in question. Rachel Wilson checkmate bimbo want husband to do 50-50 on chores. Somehow this got 56,000 views and 1.1k likes. This is such an abysmally written title. But anyway, Rachel Wilson is going to checkmate this girl apparently. And apparently it's about whether or not men should do chores.
Why don't you take it away?
Yes. Okay, so one of my most viral tweets that had like 5 million impressions or something was just me saying that since I've been with my husband, he has not done any housework. He just doesn't do housework. I do the housework. The kids help me with the housework. He doesn't do any. How do you guys feel?
Okay, so instantly I've got to ask, why the hell are you calling out your husband like that? You make him sound like a baby bitch right here. Is your husband a goddamn child? Is he unable to do housework? Now, don't get me wrong. Of course, there's something to be said that if there is an arrangement in which the woman has agreed to be the stay-at-home mom and the dad is gone working, it does make sense sometimes for the woman at home to also take care of the house to a certain degree. However, the expectation that because the man is gone at work, it is now 100% and fully the woman's duty to do all of the housework is ludicrous. You go to your 9-to-5 job, so after 5 o'clock, you're just done?
How do you guys feel about men and women, if they're cohabitating, they're married, whatever, sharing the housework? Should both people do housework? Should it be the woman's responsibility? What do you guys think? Let's start with her and we'll go around.
Well, do you work like a job besides
No.
I mean, then I think it's like if he works a job full time, then I think it's fair that you're doing a job at home while he's doing a job there. Like, I mean, that makes sense to me.
Okay.
Yeah, it makes sense, like, to a degree, but again, where's the line, basically? So he gets off work at 5 o'clock, so he just doesn't do any housework? The kid needs a diaper change, he's like, I don't know how to do it. Isn't the whole TradCon thing that, like, the man is the provider for the family? Shouldn't he also be able to provide basic household duties? What if his wife gets sick? Or what if she's giving birth to their 11th child? And then next thing you know, he's stuck at home. He doesn't know how to change a diaper, make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, or even do his own laundry. He's got shit caked to the back of his ass cheeks because no one's there to wipe his butt. If any TradCon woman boasts about the fact that her husband hasn't had to do anything, then all she's acknowledging is she married an adult baby.
And if both people work, do you think they should split it then?
Personally, yeah, I do.
What about you?
I would honestly say pretty similar. Like, for your situation, it makes a lot of sense. I think, obviously, if you guys are both working like 9-to-5 jobs, you can't expect for like the woman to just come home and just clean up after you all the time like you're a child. So I think if you're both working, it should be split. If you're a stay-at-home mom and like you're just at home with the kids all day, then it just kind of makes sense.
Now, I had a lot of women who were stay-at-home moms, and they were like, but I get exhausted after being with the kids all day, so when he gets home from work, I need a break. So I'm like, wait.
Yeah. If you've never contemplated putting a Glock in your mouth, you will if you have to stay home all day with kids. This notion that the woman is so silly for being tired out after working all day and possibly all night. Remember, when the woman is expected to stay home with the kids, she doesn't get to clock in and clock out. She's on shift all the time. And what you're saying now is that even if there's a guy coming along, or even if the husband is home, still, if she's been up since 4 a.m. with the kid and everything else, still the husband can't do anything to help offer his wife a little bit of a break? I see people saying too, like, yeah, but like the husband might be too tired after work. The woman might be too tired after taking care of small kids all day. Exactly, thank you. Even men get breaks at work. People get breaks when they are at work. And lastly, I'll say this. We'll go over the data in a little bit, but spoiler alert, relationships in which the husband helps out with domestic duties and chores, those relationships tend to do better. They last longer, and they are healthier, more fulfilling relationships.
So the man has to work all day, and then when he gets home, he also has to work so you can have a break. So how do you feel about that? What about if the woman is really tired and the man comes home from working like a 10-hour shift?
I think, I don't know, I think that's just like being lazy, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're home all day, like obviously, like, okay, like you've been with kids all day, your husband gets home, like obviously you should spend time with his children and maybe do something like that. But, like, you shouldn't be expected to like go mow the lawn right after work.
Right. Do you think, Carly?
Okay, yeah, but like, that's actually a good example of mowing the lawn, because isn't it usually expected for men to do that? That's a household chore, right?
Be proportional to how much you work outside the home, but I would disagree that if a woman is at home, she should be doing 100%, because I mean, you say he's working all day and he comes home and he has to do chores, then that's him working all day. But if a woman is with the kids all day and then doing chores, she's the one working all day. So it's like either way, someone's working 24 hours basically. I think there needs to be a little bit of slack.
Do you really think that being a stay-at-home mom, so like I have 5, with 5 kids, do you think that as a stay-at-home mom with 5 kids, I'm actually working the whole day?
Depends on how.
What do you mean actually working the whole day? So like, no, maybe there's some times during the day when you're sitting down on the couch watching a cartoon with your kids. Okay. But you're mentally working in the sense that you need to be active and alert as to what's going on. You can't really just completely check out mentally, because if something goes on or the kids need help, you got to be present. Are men going to their office jobs actually working all day, or do they get an hour-long lunch break and spend some time chit-chatting at the water cooler and everything else? This is stupid.
Depends on how old your kids are.
Yeah. Okay, like let's say when it was the hardest, when they were 0 and 3 and 7 and 9 and 11.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think you're working all day. I personally,
If you're managing your household.
I was gonna say, when I come home from work, I am doing like nothing. It's nothing. But if I was to come home from work and then I have to take care of children, I mean, like that to me is just more work. Like, my mom was a stay-at-home mom, and I was on her ass all day. Like, she was definitely working for me all day.
Did you have siblings?
Much older, not like,
okay.
Yeah,
because see, to me, that's the difference. When you just have 1 or 2, they are all on top of you constantly. By the time you got 4 or 5, you have your own little ecosystem, and the kids are all kind of like helping each other and taking care of things, and the older ones have a lot of responsibilities and can help and things like that. So
if they have good examples, though, like if you have to teach them that system.
Well, of course,
you know?
but we're talking over the course of 20 something years.
You
and it
optimize
changes
the system.
I think it just kind of happens if you have a big family, which that's why I'll often tell people, if we were having bigger families, I think women would actually have a much easier time if all the other women weren't at work. Because what was hard for me, is like my mom worked, my sister worked, my friends were, everybody worked. I was the only stay-at-home mom, so I didn't have help. Whereas if it was 100 years ago, all of us are staying home. All of us have our kids. Your cousins come over, your sister comes over, your church group gets together, and there's like more help. So
Wait, is she actually trying to say that it's more difficult now to be a stay-at-home mom because there aren't other moms around to ask for help because all the other moms have jobs now? Really? How did we somehow loop around to, well, being a stay-at-home mom is a lot more difficult now because women have freedom? What?
Yeah.
So much more fun.
it would be so much more fun.
Yeah.
Okay, what do you
girls just
think
wanna have
about
fun.
men and women splitting housework?
So I have an interesting take. So my dad is top provider, and my mom has a part-time job that she does like just for her own little slush fund. But he also, she cooks, and then he'll usually do the dishes.
See, I think that's cool right there. When both partners are sort of pulling their own weight, that's definitely the ideal situation. If the woman's cooking and then the guy does the dishes, that seems fair to me. But if any guy is so fragile in his masculinity that he's like, I can't do dishes, that's a woman's job, oh, then you should probably just dump his ass.
He kind of likes doing it, I guess. It's for him, that's just like his personality. Like, he was, I guess, when he was a kid, telling his mom not to fold his laundry because he wanted to fold it a certain type of way. And so I come from a family where it wasn't uncommon for men to do the housework, but it wasn't from a place of like my mom is domineering or my dad is being submissive or feminine. And it was like he seems to be.
It's just his preference.
He likes to, he's a very hard worker, and so it's almost like I think he can be a workaholic, and it's like, hey, you have to like stop.
Yeah.
And it's hard for him to rest. But I think
See, I can relate to that. That's how I feel, because it's like, I like doing chores also because I like to just do stuff and feel like I'm being productive and working like all the time. So I can totally relate to that. And again, no one's masculinity should be threatened by the fact that they enjoy or even just tolerate doing chores. It's a part of life.
You know, so that when I look at it, I think that, you know, it is tiring when you're at a job all day. So I think there is a give and take. I think also, but it's tiring if you're managing a household. I don't think that some of the more masculine jobs, like taking out the trash, yard work, that kind of thing, I would expect him to do. Also, stuff like dealing with if there's a leak, that's what I need him to, you know what I mean? Or,
But like laundry, dishes, mopping, vacuuming.
yeah, I'm happy to take on that. My best friend, she always says, she's like, I am super excited to help my assistant manage my household. That's what she always says.
Lord have mercy. Can't relate. Okay, what do you think, Leonardo?
I'm too hot for housework, so
Okay.
that's below
What do you
me.
think, Riley?
Women should handle all the housework. I think that if a man has to go out and work and provide and give all of his energy to his job, he should at least be able to come home to a happy wife with dinner on the table, not like.
Okay, so again, this seems to be like this weird thing they're building up with, like, well, the man's working all day, so the man is not working all day. It's a 9-to-5 job. Second of all, why don't we go ahead and look over some of this information. This is data from a 1970s British cohort study. Contrary to what gains from specialization and trade predict, the findings suggest that fathers' home production stabilizes marriage regardless of mothers' employment statuses. Men doing the housework reduces the divorce risk. The results suggest that the risk of divorce among working mothers, while greater, is substantially reduced when fathers contribute more to housework and childcare. When men are helping out at home, they can reduce the likelihood of the risk of divorce. Even more so, you hear a lot of red pill losers talk about how women initiate all the divorce and all this crap. Why is that the case? It's because of these crushing expectations that now the woman is supposed to stay at home and take care of the house, also provide emotional support for the husband while not receiving much emotional support in return. And all the husband has to do is just go to work. Women oftentimes are not even having their needs met in the marriage as far as emotional needs go. So this notion that like the man went to work so the woman should do all the chores, no, that's wrong. And that increases the likelihood of divorce.
Home to a happy wife with dinner on the table, not like the house being organized. I feel like it's very simple things to ask.
I honestly can't believe Andrew Tate hasn't married you already. It's like
a mystery.
He's about to hit you up.
he's missing.
God, no.
What do you think?
I think the complete opposite. I think, well, because for me, I want to work when I'm older. Yeah, I want to work when I'm older, and then obviously I want my husband to work or whoever. But I do believe in split like chores. Like, but with me, when it comes to like dishes or anything, I was raised if your plate's dirty, you have to wash your own dish.
Okay, what if your husband cooks the food? Say he likes cooking.
Then
and he
I'll
makes
be,
a meal.
then I'll be happy. Sorry, but then I'll be happy to wash the dishes. Like, yeah,
Now,
I'm grateful.
since you said you
Okay,
want to
see,
work,
that's cool. Now you're talking about a give and take type thing.
do you also want to be a mom?
I've thought about it. I'm 18. I'm young. So, but when I do think about kids, maybe later down the line. I don't know what age. Just I don't know.
If you had kids, would you still want to be at work all day?
No, or I would eventually want to go back to it.
Like when they were older or
Yeah.
something? Okay.
That's
fair
because that's
enough.
what my mom's doing. Because I have 2 twin siblings, and well, she had to quit her job because of like personal reasons between her boss. But she wants to get a job now that my siblings are growing older.
Okay.
Because she feels like she's just at home all day, and it's just like they're old enough to do their own things now.
Okay. Well, what about you, Reika?
The question was, do you think that we should like both do equal chores?
Yeah, like if you're either living with your boyfriend, you're married, are you guys going to split the housework? Do you think that's women's work? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it depends. If he's like working all day, I'm happy to stay home and do the chores if I'm not working. But if I am working, I think we should split it evenly. I feel like that's the most logical response.
I mean, because if you're both gone all day at work, then what? Is the woman still expected to just do all the chores?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that.
Okay, so for all of you who said if we're both working, we should split the chores, so we should split the housework, does that mean, because this is how I see it playing out in the real world, that means he has to take care of the plumbing leak, he has to unclog the toilet if you can't do it yourself with the plunger, he's got to like fix stuff, mow the lawn, do the trimming, take out the trash, take the car to get the oil changed, all that kind of stuff, and split the chores?
Yeah. You have additional chores and additional responsibilities on top of your work-related responsibility. Welcome to the grown-up world. Congratulations, have you just immigrated here from Sesame Street? Those aren't deluxe chores. Those are regular chores. They just happen to be chores that are stereotypically deemed masculine. But it doesn't mean women can't do that. I mean, it's true that you do have some women who are significantly better when it comes to plumbing. If you're in a relationship in which the woman's better at plumbing and you're better at folding the laundry as the guy, why wouldn't you do that then? Because that's obviously what's going to work better for that relationship. So yeah, of course, if both people are working, there's going to be chores also. They're both working.
Because like in
just
that case,
things that people usually consider like housework that like a 1950s housewife would do. So like dishes, laundry, mopping, sweeping, dusting, organizing,
I mean,
cleaning.
I'm sure you could find an even split with that. Like maybe if he does that, like the car work and the piping and whatever, then you could do the dishes and the kitchen work and then clean the rest of the house would be, I don't know, there would be a way to make it proportional.
So, but then don't you get into this thing where we're keeping track and we've got like a sheet and we have to tally it and then the woman, because this is what
Yes, and that relationship is going to be great.
Right, exactly. That's what I.
What? No. You could just kind of recognize like, hey, one person did this, so I'm going to go ahead and just pick up the slack here instead. Or like, you can figure it out.
The woman will be like, well, but I did the laundry on Saturday, and then when you didn't do the laundry on Tuesday, I had to do it. Now I'm upset with you. And he's like, but I had to mow the lawn, and you don't mow the lawn. And then you get into this, like, points keeping.
Maybe if both partners are toxic and immature, like maybe then you get into the point keeping thing. You could also just, I don't know, not do that.
Keeping score.
Well, this is all talking, idealistically, and none of it's real practical. I mean, anybody who's ever been with a man realizes that you tend to see things messy before he does. You tend to be bothered by things not being organized or clean way before he does, unless you're dating somebody who's really got
like the type A dad.
Right.
Type it. Like I have kind of a type.
There's so many assumptions here. There are a lot of guys that also like care about mess and can notice stuff like that. This is just so cringy, man. You know, guys, they're just slobs, haha.
In general, yeah.
I was gonna say, like, I feel like in a healthy relationship, though, like, obviously that could be an issue, but like with my parents, for example, like my dad would like offer to wash the dishes or offer to mow the lawn because he wanted to take something off my mother's back, and it was because he loved her. So it's like if you love each other and care about each other in a relationship, I feel like you'll want to take on certain chores for them or want to do certain things for them.
Yeah, I think you should work out whatever split doesn't make one partner feel especially burdened. And like if you feel like your children are helping to take care of each other in a sense and you don't feel especially burdened by the housework, then that sounds healthy. But there might be some women who maybe the child has a disorder or something is different that she's going to feel especially burdened and she's not going to be happy. She's going to be resentful if the man isn't, doing laundry once a week.
Guys,
Yeah, this is true.
Guys, why aren't we all just hiring Mexicans? I mean,
we have enough of them. I mean,
they could do the fix the leak and clean the house. I mean, versatile.
Well, here's something interesting. When they do surveys,
She really thought she did something there, didn't she? Slipping in a little bit of casual racism for absolutely no reason.
when they do surveys among divorced couples and the woman initiates the divorce, one of the top reasons she always gives is she feels like, I feel like, right? They never say I think, they say I feel like.
Yeah, because how people feel in a relationship and about the relationship is kind of important, Rachel.
He didn't do enough for me, right? It's like the number one thing. And I think that we give women like a totally like overblown expectation that men are supposed to like serve us or be doing. He wasn't emotionally taking care of me usually means like I wanted him to anticipate that I wanted to.
Wait, the tradcon thing is that the man is the provider and the protector and takes care of you. But now you're complaining that there's this notion that the guy should take care of you? That's the tradcon thing. It's people like me on the left saying, no, we should have more equal relationships.
I mean, I'm hearing a lot of like, women initiate divorces. I'm just curious, because you've gotten divorced, did you initiate your divorces?
Nope,
neither
one.
divorces?
No, I got abandoned twice, 2 major L's for.
Oh! Why is it always the tradcons who are actually divorced 5 times? This woman's been divorced twice? We got Ross over here trying to educate everybody else on marriage. 5 children, 3 baby daddies. She had 3 other kids by those men. Damn! So Mr. Tradcon boy, Big Papa Fascist, is raising another man's kids? I'm sorry, but I know that the fascists would say that that's major cuck behavior right there. Look, all joking aside, it sucks that she was abandoned, but then again, I mean, she sounds like a pretty insufferable person. Maybe some credit needs to be given. I mean, hey, if anybody here was married to this person, let's be real, we'd all abandon her.
It's like you would
super
have to
loser.
agree that sometimes men can be the problem, whether they initiate the divorce or
Well,
leave you.
All people can be problems, but
Yeah, so why do you assume that in all these cases it's women saying, well, I feel this way, and she's
I'll tell you
secretly in
why,
the wrong?
because we choose them. I did not have to make babies with either of those guys. I did not have to marry my ex-husband. I chose them. And then when I got what I ordered, it didn't turn out to be what I thought it was. Now, I'm not saying that, I shouldn't have to say this, but I do. I'm not saying abuse is ever okay. But what I am saying is that women think that we're going to be the gatekeepers of sex, we're going to be the choosers, we're going to pick the guys, and then we have ridiculous expectations. We think that it's going to be Disney princess like Grid 1 Motorsports was saying. At least a lot of women do. They have expectations that don't match reality. They want the man to provide. They want the man to lead. They want the man to
Isn't that what
take
you
on-
are?
But I'm interested actually.
Yeah, but that's literally what you want. You want men to provide and lead.
Because biblically, the man is called has the higher calling. The man is called to emulate Christ. The woman is called to emulate the church. This is not an argument for women to just, whatever. But I'm interested to know what you think about that, because it's harder to be like Christ than it is to be like the church. And Christ gave his life for the church. He loved her, gave his life for her. And while the church is supposed to submit, just like the wife submits to the husband, I do think that is the harder role.
I thought we had already gotten as low as we possibly could, but no, now we have to bring Christianity into this. Oh, great.
I think
Right.
the male actually has the higher calling and the more responsibility.
I agree with that, but where I went wrong when I was young was I had a very normie, I was Christian, but I was like a cultural Protestant Christian. I thought, like, if you'd asked me at the time, I was serious about it, but I also had this, like, we were talking about the libertarian American idea. And when I was young, I bought into the stupid shit that a lot of us buy into, like, oh, we don't need a piece of paper. You know, we're gonna get married eventually. I'm sure it will happen. We've talked about it. So it's fine that we're living together now. Like, I made all these little concessions. I made all these little excuses for things I thought were fine. And it was like, well, I'm a really capable person and I can do it myself. I just had like the whole wrong view of the world and relationships and how that works. Part of that is I had a Marxist feminist mother who was deeply indoctrinated.
What?
Yeah. And she would, kind of share this stuff with me, and divorced my dad, kicked him out of the house. And so it was like comparative.
How much you want to bet that that's not actually what happened at all? How much you want to bet that the guy was like crazy or abusive or something, and so she finally had enough and then kicked him out? I refuse to believe that the woman, being a crazy Marxist feminist or something, just divorced the guy for no reason. What are Marxist divorce rates? Now you're asking the real questions.
I thought I was pretty conservative, but I was basically just like a normie girl who was like, I'll just live with my boyfriend because it's practical and we'll split the bills. And then when that didn't work out, I was like devastated. And now,
But why did that not work out?
43-year-old me would look back and be like, oh, honey, you were so silly, thinking that, like, oh, we're just going to live together and that'll work out. I think most women do that. I think they think it's fine.
I'm sorry. Did you convert after you married your husband now?
Yeah, we both converted at the same time, like 3.5 years ago, to Orthodoxy. We went from being like,
Oh, great. Two f***ing crazy people getting married. Ugh.
normie non-denominational Protestants to being like more conservative Protestants, and then realizing there's a whole batch of problems that comes with that, and then looking for answers in church history, do a little digging on the history of the church, and you find the Orthodox Church, and there's kind of no turning back after that, at least for us. So I'm just saying, like, I think this whole modern idea of we're going to have an egalitarian relationship where I work and he works and we're going to raise the kids together and we're going to be partners and we're going to share the chores, it doesn't really work very well for most people in reality. And we can see that in the extremely low rates of marriage and the really high rates of divorce and just the general dissatisfaction. This whole podcast exists.
No, you can't. You literally can't. Just seeing the high rate of divorce doesn't tell you shit. A reason why a lot of marriages are failing is because the man is not emotionally there. And that is a result of the man trying to uphold certain gender stereotypes and gendered roles. So in the process of doing that, it's also harming the man's ability to connect. So what she's saying basically is that the equal relationships aren't working because divorce is common, when in reality, divorce is common as a result of men trying to hold to these standards and these roles that Rachel Wilson is advocating for. In a whole roundabout way, she's hurting her end cause.
And just the general dissatisfaction. This whole podcast exists because people can't figure out what the hell is going on with male-female relationships.
Well, what if both parties do work then? Because, I mean, a lot of people, both parties have to work because of our economy at this time.
That's true,
That's
but the
because
reason they have to work
economy.
is because women joined the workforce in huge numbers in the 70s, and wages for men have been stagnant ever since then, have not kept up with inflation. So yeah, now we're in a position where a lot of moms have to work. Now,
well, they made the women have to join the workforce because the economy was already doing what it was doing.
And the whole point, like one of the big purposes.
No women want to join the workforce. That's just.
Also, well, first of all, that's actually bullshit. The available Gallup poll as of last year found that the majority of women want to work, even if they don't have to. They want to work. So, factually incorrect. Here are 9 reasons why wages have stagnated. So this sounds like it's a legitimate problem that's being they're bringing attention to. In the United States, unemployment numbers have remained relatively low in the years following the economic recession. In fact, the lowest they have been since the 1960s, yada, yada, yada. So if you look here at the top 10 reasons or top 9 reasons why wages would stagnate, shockingly enough, it has nothing to do with women in the workforce. Wow! While for decades, labor saw a fixed share of income, advances in technology and changes in the overall market have taken a chunk out of the income allotted to labor, dipping from nearly 65% in the mid-1970s to lower than 57% in 2017. Wage inequality is rising as the total share of income started to shift. The distribution among labor has also segregated, distributing disproportionately to workers at the top and declining or stagnating wages for those in the bottom. Globalization. In an international market, organizations have access to countries with an abundantly low-skilled labor. Technological innovation. Young workers entering the force. Baby boomers are retiring. They're being replaced by new young workers who are often paid less because they have less experience. There's less unionization, which thankfully Biden is helping with. Stagnating full-time employment of the primary age group. Increasingly, people between the ages of 25 and 54 who are considered prime age workers are not in the labor pool. An estimated 22% is thought to be sitting out of the workforce. Benefits are expanding and productivity and wages are disconnected. So these are just a couple reasons why we're seeing wages stagnate. This notion that like only men are having a stagnation in wages is not true. And this notion that men are having a stagnation because of women is also bullshit. So, okay.
Purposes.
No women want to join the workforce. That's just.
Oh, it's so stupid. My oldest daughter, when she started working, she like graduated high school and started working. She called me and she's like, "Mom, why do we do this? Why do we pretend that working a job is awesome and that we love it? This is stupid and I hate it." And I was like,
yep. Unless you have a real purpose. There's a small percentage of women who have a real purpose. They have real talent that should not be wasted.
Right.
I 100% agree with that, and that's okay. But it's the same way that we push everybody into college, and not everybody belongs in college. If you have a real intellect, you have a real passion for something you're studying, go for it.
Yeah.
I feel like that didn't really answer my question because I don't really mind like.
October 2019, a record high 56% of US women prefer working to homemaking. Oof. Listen, that sucks. That sucks. For you to be like, no women want to work. Turns out over half of US women want to work. They prefer work. Oops. Oof.
I mean, if I could control it, then I guess because
well, you can. Here's my answer to that. Because people ask me this, they're like, well, but I have to work. And I'm like, you don't. You would just have to make a lot of choices you don't want to make. You'd have to make a lot of compromises you don't want to. You might have to move to a cheap area in the rural Midwest where you can afford to stay home. You might have to work part-time remotely from home so that you can prioritize the kids. There are ways to do it. You might have to have a cash.
We might have to have a financial revolution and overthrow the existing
I was going to say, it sounds like
oppression.
Financial collapse will have to happen because if women exit the workforce en masse, then you're just going to run into a bunch of different problems. If everyone moves to the Midwest en masse, property cost of living is just going to go up.
There's a difference between, if you're asking me for my prescription, there's a difference between what I would prescribe for an individual person right now dealing with the system we're in versus what I would prescribe for the system long term. Long term, I think feminism will be looked back upon as like this awful disaster that we tried and it failed and it was horrible and we're going to be
ruled by feminist gargoyles for a while. So
we are, but the problem.
I first of all, I don't even know who this person is, but I hate her because it sounds like everything she says is a joke, but also kind of serious, and I just hate her. But anyway, we're going to look back and see that it was a disaster. No, we're really not. Okay, women thrive in the workforce. Companies that have women in top positions, those companies do better. Where is this massive mistake?
The problem with it is that it's literally not sustainable. South Korea, the most westernized Asian country, has a birth rate of 0.78. Japan and Canada are now euthanizing the elderly because there's more elderly people in diapers than there are babies in diapers. The supply chain problems that we've been dealing with since the cough stuff has never gone away.
Again, there's a reason why more developed countries, you see far less birth rates, and that is an evolutionary reason. And the reason is simply because the likelihood of that infant dying is very unlikely. It's very low. Evolutionarily, if your infant has a really good chance of dying, you will have more kids to try and preserve the family line or DNA or something like this.
Because we actually can't import enough illegal immigrants to keep up with the supply and demand of what we need in the country. So
Rachel, before you get further into this, do you want to ask everyone who identifies as a feminist?
Oh yeah, let's.
Wait, what? So do we need illegal immigrants?
Is anybody here like against patriarchy, for patriarchy?
Well, it sounds like patriarchy led us into this, because if men are bestowing rights upon women, men at any time could take it back. Men are, we live under a natural patriarchy, and yet this is the situation we're in, that according to you, we're not at replacement birth rates, but it sounds like men did not do a very good job leading us into a beneficial situation. It sounds like they allowed a lot of pretty shitty things to happen, and I don't know if
true.
Giving them the power is really such a good idea then.
Well, now let's get into this. So do you think that when I say patriarchy, that means all men have all the same amount of power? That Brian has the same amount of power as like Donald Trump? Or,
no.
Or is there hierarchy within the male sphere of patriarchy where there are certain people who have, certain men who have more power than others?
Well, yeah, I think there's always going to be a hierarchy of power.
Okay. So if you think there's always going to be a hierarchy of power, how are you a Marxist?
I'm not really like a prescriptive Marxist, but I am I think a lot of people don't really know what Marxism is. They've never actually read Marx. I'm a Marxist in the sense that I'm like a historical material.
All right, this Rachel girl can barely handle like basic conversation. Let's not even listen to her try and get through Marxism. Holy shit. Yeah, okay, so apparently, you heard it here, ladies and gentlemen. If the man is doing chores, then he's gay? I don't even know. Look at this comment. This comment is so bad. My husband doesn't do any housework. I'd feel like a failure as a wife if he did. If the man so much as literally even has to like wipe his face with a napkin, you failed as a wife. Yeah, at the end of the day, of course, if it's the husband's house also, then he should also be doing something to help out at home as well, if he can.